Vermont's going to have these additional powers until September 30th. I think it's a 70 additional days, and then you're going to revisit, it sounds like. Senator Formica, you all have been pretty adamant when each of these was re-upped that this is not needed anymore. Your reaction to the vote that happened last week?
Well, thank you, Jen. And, I served in East Lyme as first selectman during the major hurricanes. So, I understand the need for having a chief executive to be able to hold the reins on the ship and move decision-making forward very quickly. We were all on board with that early on when we didn't know what we were up against. But as the situation progressed, as the state began to move forward with things that would protect our citizens, and we learned about mask wearing and hygiene, the vaccination rate in Connecticut is one of the best in the nation, and we know that the governor and others have worked hard to make sure that that's moving forward. However, we are in the waning point of this pandemic. While there still is a pandemic and we still need to be wary, I think it's time that the legislature can participate in this. The governor called the special session to talk about the extension of the powers earlier this week. We were able to respond within a few calendar days, and we all met in Hartford to make this decision. The same thing, I believe, can occur in a timely fashion to handle any emergency that comes up, because we've pretty much been through the worst of it, I think. And as the vaccination rate climbs and people tend to get more vaccines, I think it's going to be less and less of a critical emergency.
Senator Formica, I'm curious, is it about the principle that he has more power in his role, or is there something specific that he did also during this pandemic that was concerning with those extended powers?
No, I think it's the principle of extending the powers now, being the same as they were 16 months ago. The same powers are being extended, and it's the legislature have been sitting back to a large extent. We've been supportive of all the initiatives that the governor has put forth. We had some questions about the handling of nursing homes and others, but that's going to happen in an emergency. Now I think the legislature is primed and ready to act. I think we can act on some of these events that are moving forward and assist in doing the job that we were elected to do, and that is get the voice of the people back to the State House and not have the governor being the sole voice managing this entire pandemic.
Now, Senator Formica, your final thoughts on this before we talk about juvenile justice reform.
Well, he spoke of hurricanes early on. You never know when emergencies are going to strike. And, we were able to implement emergency powers. And I think should something jump up that would measure to the level of a true greater emergency than we're in now, I think we could move forward and the governor could enact emergency powers. But right now, we are the only New England state that has continued to extend these powers. So all states surrounding us have not. And the chair of the Appropriations Committee in testimony earlier this week indicated that there are ways for the state to get supplemental STAT money and housing money from FEMA without the need for this emergency declaration. And I think the legislature is ready. Nobody wants to leave any money on the table, especially if it impacts our citizens. But I think that the legislature can and is ready and willing to act in assistance to move this forward. And I think the time is right for us to be back involved.
Okay, Senator Formica, I know this is something that you all wanted to happen during a special session that hasn't happened yet. It sounds like, though, Democrats do want to do something on it, is what I'm hearing from Senator Looney. What do you think needs to happen? Is it in time enough if we wait until the next legislative session?
Well, the first thing that needs to happen is that we need to have conversations with each other and not go backwards about what happened on January 6th. I can say that Senate Republicans in the state of Connecticut came out against what happened on January 6th, I'm sorry. And, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about juvenile crime that's up We're talking about homicides in New Haven up over 65%. Hartford on its way to have its deadliest year in decades as a result of the homicide rate going up. And Connecticut's homicide rate is up 30%. And you could argue it's the failed policies of the Democrat majority that they put through in the cities that have not held leaders of the cities accountable. And it's time to do that. Republicans put forth a couple of bills, Senate Bill 550, that would have created a community investment board that would have helped direct money into neighborhoods to make sure it was going in the right place to the right kids, to make sure that they had an opportunity to get out of this generational poverty that they're in. And, also the 440 would have created a job pipeline. And these bills were not even let out of committee for discussion on the floor. So, we want to stop this crime wave. We need to stop this crime wave. Republicans in Connecticut believe that it's a true emergency and it should be afforded the same opportunity for discussion as we did this week on extending the governor's powers. And I don't believe that that's asking too much.